Okay, so we're looking at homework from section 3.2. We're looking specifically at question number 11, so let's go ahead and read the question. In a recent year, about 41% of all infants born in a country were conceived through in vitro fertilization, which is abbreviated IVF. Of the IVF deliveries, about 22% resulted in multiple births. So we have three questions. Part A, find the probability that a randomly selected infant was conceived through IVF and was part of a multiple birth. Part B, find the probability that a randomly selected infant conceived through IVF was not part of a multiple birth. And then Part C, would it be unusual for a randomly selected infant to have been conceived through IVF and to have been part of a multiple birth? Explain. All right, so let's start with Part A. For Part A, we're looking for the probability of an in vitro fertilization conception and a multiple birth. So we want to see both. According to the multiplication rule, that's the probability of having a baby born through IVF times the probability of having a baby born in a multiple birth pregnancy, given that it was an IVF baby. So, according to what we're told, the probability that a baby was conceived through IVF was 41%, and the probability that they were a multiple birth baby, given that it was IVF, was 22%. So we multiply those together, and when you multiply those together, you get 0.0902, rounded to 3 decimal places is 0.090. This is the answer to Part A. For Part B, we're looking for the probability that a randomly selected infant conceived through IVF was not part of a multiple birth. So the probability that they were not part of a multiple birth, given that they were conceived via IVF. Now, this one might be a little weird to see, but it's a complement. It's 1 minus the probability that they were a multiple birth, given they were an IVF conception. That probability was actually given to us in the original problem. We were told that the probability that a child was a multiple birth, given that they were in vitro fertilization conception, was 0.22. So this is 1 minus 0.22, which is 0.78. Right, so the probability that the child was a multiple birth, given that they were conceived via IVF, was given to us as 0.22 in the original statement of the problem. And so this is the complement of that, which is 0.78. And that's your answer for Part B. Part C asks us if we would think it's unusual for a randomly selected IVF cycle to result in pregnancy and produce a multiple birth. So that really is Part A unusual. Well, the criteria for deciding if something is unusual or not is whether the probability is less than or equal to 0.05, which is 5%. The answer from Part A was a little bit more than 9%, 0.0902. That means it's not unusual. So the correct answer here to Part C is choice A.